All right, good afternoon. This is the graphing calculator scavenger hunt for algebra class. All right, so we're going to go through and practice some common key strokes that you're going to have to use on this calculator. We started the scavenger hunt in class, but we may not have finished it, and so we're going to have this little YouTube video to help you out. Okay, so the first thing says press second plus and then 712. So that's just what it means. So I'm going to press, come back, second plus 712. And you don't really have to read the menus because this is a common thing we're going to do lots of times. You can read them if you want, but second plus 712. What this does is something very critical that we have to do at the beginning of each test or whatever it is we're doing. We're clearing the memory, RAM cleared. That is something that we do at the beginning of every test. You're going to have to show me this screen before every test. So that because this is a calculator that has memory in it, and you could, in theory, store things and use it to cheat. So we don't do that. So what did this do to your calculator? It cleared the memory. Okay. So the next thing says, what happens to the screen when you push second arrow up over and over, or second arrow down over and over? So let's try that. Second, and then this is the up arrow. It's really hard to tell, but what it does is make the screen darker. And if I hit second, over and over and over. It's again kind of hard to see. You'd see it better on a regular calculator. It makes the calculator go more dim on the screen. Okay, so going back to this. Okay, it makes the screen darker or lighter. Okay, type the following into the calculator. 7 plus 3 times 4. Whoops, wrong thing. 7 plus 3 times 4. Okay, we get an answer of 19. All right, and the question is, did the calculator follow order of operations, and how do you know? We got an answer of 19. Order of operations would say we would have to multiply first and add second. So if the calculator did not understand order of operations and it worked just from left to right, then it would say 10 times 4 equals 40. And that would clearly be not order of operations. The 19 comes from, instead, 3 times 4 is 12. Bring down the plus 7, which is 19. Okay, so that's a perk to this calculator, although the TI-30XS calculators that you've been using prior to this also know order of operations. Okay, so how do you know? Because the calculator gave the correct answer, which seems obvious. Like, why wouldn't the calculator give the right answer? But some very simple calculators are not programmed for order of operations. Okay, this next part says, what happens when you press the following keys? Now, I went in on your paper. These just look like two subtraction signs, but I copied and pasted what the keys look like. What the first one would be is 7 minus, I think they want you to do 7 minus a negative 5. Okay, so 7 minus a negative 5. Some of you are already like, wait a minute, she typed 2 subtract signs. And in fact, if you treat the subtraction sign like a negative sign, the calculator will be upset with you. It'll say error syntax. Syntax is like a grammar error in math. It means you didn't use the right symbols or the expected symbols. So you can press 2 if you want it to go to it, and see the blinker is on that second subtraction sign. So if we change that subtraction sign and we press this button down here, it looks like a subtract with parentheses around it, but it's a negative instead. If we change that, it looks different. It becomes smaller and a little bit higher. And then we hit enter. Now the calculator is happy, and we get a right answer of 12. So the first time through we do 2 subtraction signs, we get syntax error. And the second time, when I change the subtraction sign to a negative sign, it gives me the correct answer of 12. So what does this say about the use of subtract key? This is the subtract key versus the negative key. It means you have to know which button is the right one to push. You can't use the negative key if you mean subtract, and you can't use the subtract key if you mean negative. Okay? So it means you must use the correct button. They are different. Okay? Okay, the bottom half of the page, it says below, draw the keys you must press to evaluate each of the following expressions. Okay, so let's open that up. And I'm going to shrink this down a little bit. There we go. Okay. So we'll clear the screen. Alright, this says 8 minus 6. Okay, that's really easy. 8 minus 6. So follow the red dots down, or the red keys. They light up as I go. 8 minus 6 is 2. Alright, now it doesn't want you to put the answer to this. It wants you to put the keys. So that one's pretty easy. 8 minus 6. Enter. Okay, so I want you to draw the keys. Alright, the next one. Okay, the keys will light up red as I push them. Alright, so I'm going to type 7 plus parenthesis. Parenthesis is a key that often gets skipped. Kids think parentheses don't matter in math, but they're very important. So if you see a parenthesis, type a parenthesis. And if you have an open parenthesis, you must close your parenthesis. Sometimes if you don't close, you will get an error message or an incorrect answer. Okay, now the next thing I see is it's supposed to be negative 6, so be careful. Don't type the subtract key, type the negative key. 6, close your parenthesis, and enter as your equals. So again, we're not putting the answer on the line. I am putting what buttons I pushed on the line. Okay, and let's look at the last one. Alright, we've got a parenthesis. This is a negative this time. Okay, so negative 4, close your parenthesis. Now this time it's a subtract, so I use the subtract key, 7, and then enter, and you get negative 11. Okay, so I don't have all the buttons put in over here, but you get the idea. You can see me doing it on the calculator here. Okay. Next, this button right here, it looks like an up arrow. Stop it. Okay, this button looks like an up arrow, and it's called the Caret Key. Now it's right here. It's located right here. Okay, And what it does is take, now this says ANS, that stands for answer. What the calculator did was take the last value I had, which was the negative 11, and if I put a number in this little box, it will apply that exponent. So what the caret key does is make an exponent. So that's called the caret button. I'm really not sure of the right way to spell that. I don't know if it's like caret the food, caret the diamond, or caret something else. And it's used to raise a number to a power. So 6 to the 5th power. Okay, we don't want to type in 6 times 6 times 6. There's a lot of room for typos there. And if you have a really big exponent or a really long base, that's kind of annoying to do. So 6 caret 5. And what I love about this calculator, as opposed to the regular middle school calculators, is that it actually makes that 5 look like an exponent. It's very comforting, and it looks correct when it's typed in. And then you hit enter, and you get 7,776. To square a number, also, this is a very good key to know. Now, you could do caret 2 if you want, 56 caret 2. Okay, however, one less button to push, and squared is a really common exponent. So because squared is a really common exponent, it gets its own button right here, and it makes the little 2. Either way, you can type it in either way. And you get 3,136. To cube a number, that means to put something to the 3rd power. See, there's a little 3 right here. So 36 to the 3rd power. We're going to type 36, put your base in, then the word math up here. And that contains a whole bunch of little operations that not used frequently enough to get its own button, but they're used frequently enough that they put a little math shortcut in here. And we go down to option 3. Now you can arrow down like I just did, or you can type the 3 and it'll do the same thing. It'll put the 3 in for you. And again, it looks like an exponent. That's how you know you did it right. Hit enter, 46,656. Okay, so there's 2 ways to do an exponent of 2. I already explained that to you. So draw them below using the example of 4 to the 2nd power. So that's in words. 4 to the 2nd means 4 is the base and 2nd is the exponent. So here again, there's 2 ways you could do it. You could do 4 caret 2. And get 16. Or you can do 4 squared, faster. 16. So 4 caret 2, enter, or 4 x squared, enter. One less button to use the x squared key. Make that little 2 look a little more like a 2. There, that's better. Okay. Press second y equals to access the stat plots. Second. And then right above it is y equals. See how it says stat plot in blue above that? And then there's the second key there. Stat plots. Okay? Stat plots is what we're doing later in the year when we're making a scatter plot and we're plotting data. Your calculator can actually make you a scatter plot, make you a graph of your data. Okay? How many stat plots are there? Okay? There's 1, 2, 3 stat plots. So you can have 3 simultaneous sets of data and you could look at it all at the same time. Okay, so how many stat plots are there? 3. Which option turns the plots off? Well, they're all off right now. If you want to turn the stat plots on, you hit enter, and then right now off is lit up, but the word on is blinking. If you hit enter, now on is lit up and blinking, and off is nothing. Okay? And you can see different kinds of graphs that you can make your data into, and we will be working with those later this year. I'll also explain to you X list and Y list and the marks and color. Color's not so important at all. Okay, so you can turn them on and off that way. Now if I want to get out of here and get back to a main screen, I just can go second quit and clear. Okay, so if you're ever stuck, second quit. Quit is above this mode key, the word quit right here. Okay, and that'll bring you back to the main screen, and you can get out of wherever you are. Okay, so how do you turn the stat plots off? You just hit enter over the on. Alright, what letter of the alphabet is located above X? Well, the X is right down here. If you see my little arrow circling over the X, and the letter above it is S. Okay? You're going to figure this out eventually, even if I didn't tell you, but up here there's a green button called the alpha button, and it means that if you press it over, you can alpha, and if you can either press it one button at a time, or you can alpha second and alpha lock, and you can, oops, that's car, can type. Okay, something that will show me right away your maturity level is if you get into this feature and you decide you're going to leave annoying, obnoxious, or inappropriate little messages for the next person to find. Generally speaking, unless someone's safety is at risk, I don't need you to tattle on, oh, the last person to use this computer wrote the F word, or the last person to use this wrote me this weird message. Unless someone's safety is at risk, I don't really need you to tattle on it. If you if you turn on a calculator and it has some words in it, just hit clear, or you can second plus 7 1 2, and you can clear out all the memory. Okay. So I'm aware you can do this, and I don't really think it's very funny anymore because it's just 100 times for me, but you'll probably find it amusing for a little bit. Okay, so the letter of the alphabet above the X was the S. How do you access the functions or symbols in green above the buttons? Okay, so in green, I think we just talked about that, and the green on this screen is the letters. Now, they might be a different color on different versions of the calculator, but the green is the letters, and it's the same color button. It's the alpha button. If you press just the alpha one time, let's say I press 8 and I get a P, and then it goes back to being numbers. But if I second and press the green button again, it alpha locks, and I get only letters until I unlock by just pressing the alpha button again. So how do you access the functions and symbols in green? You have to push the alpha button. Or if you want to lock it, second alpha. Alright, how do you access the function or symbols in blue above buttons? Which key? So let's see what's blue. On this calculator, the blue stuff is, oh, went away. The blue is these things like quit, insert, list, alpha lock, lowercase letters, L5, L4, off, entry, mem, okay, catalog, that's going to be one we'll use a lot. So anything in blue that you want, you're going to have to press the second key for. Alright, again, what's blue on this calculator might be a different color on yours. To get the calculator to simplify the following problem, what do you do to get the brackets? Okay, so these are not just parentheses, these are brackets. And they are located on the calculator. Let me shrink this down so we can see the problem at the same time. Okay, so if we're going to type that in, we would type exactly what we see. 2, whoops, clear. 2. Now, these are parenthesis buttons, but above them in blue, you can see it's a bracket. So I would hit the second key, and it makes a bracket. 3 plus 10 divided by 2 plus 6 squared minus parenthesis 4 plus 2 parenthesis and a bracket, so second and bracket. Okay. And you should get 76. And apparently it's going to put the bracket on there for you. So to get that, it's second and the parenthesis buttons, worst square ever. And the answer to the problem was 76. You don't need the brackets though. Okay, 2 plus 3 and enter. Don't overthink that, it's really that simple. 2 plus 3, enter, and you get 5. Okay, now type 110 divided by ANS. Where is ANS? It is located right here above the negative sign, and it's blue. So to get to it, you hit the blue second key. You can always tell whether you hit your second key or not because it'll make an up arrow, and you get ANS. What that does is takes the answer from the previous question, 5, and inserts it into the next problem. Could you have just typed in 5? Sure. 5 is a pretty small number. But if it was a really long and ugly decimal, you might think that the typing in answer would be faster. And you get 22. So what did the calculator do for you? It subbed the previous answer of 5 into the problem. Okay. The next part I don't think you really need my help doing, so we're going to skip that on the video. 14, second enter, second enter. Oh, I lied. We do have to do this. There's a reason for it. Alright, so let's do these three problems really quick. Clear this out. Okay. 2 times 41.587. And we get, you know what, let's scroll this down a little bit. $83 .174. Okay. And 2,578 divided by 4. Okay, 644.5. And 369 divided, whoops, clear. 369 plus, not divided by, plus 578. Okay, and 947. The next thing says press second enter, second enter. Okay, second enter. Oops, I forgot to hit. Oh, the first time I hit it, it repeated the problem before that. Second enter. Oh, if I do it again, it switches to 2 problems ago. What if I do it a third time? Second enter. Oh, it switched to 3 problems ago. So let's say you're working along and you're 3 problems ahead and you realized, oh no, I made a typo up here. You can hit second enter for however many times it takes to get back to that problem, and you can go back and fix it. Just by, it'll type it out for you again, and then you can use your arrow keys to move along to whatever part you want to fix, and then hit enter, and you can get that back again without having to retype it too. So second enter 2 times was actually, I did it too many times. Clear. I'm going to hit clear. I'm going to do second enter. Oh, went back too far. Well, let's pretend it really wants me to do this one. 2578 divided by 4. I was meant to get that one, this one back again right here. And it wants me to change the 4 to a 2. Okay, so I can just use the arrow keys, change that to a 2, and get a new answer. Okay, so what pops up on the screen when you do this? Okay. Second enter gives back previous problems. Y for typos. Okay, calculators will give you the right answer for what you type in, but if you type it in wrong, it's not going to give you the right answer. So the second time I did this, when I'm dividing by 2, I got an answer of 1,289. How will this feature be helpful? Again, typos. Or if you're doing repeated calculations. Okay, if you're going to sub in a whole bunch of different numbers, the same operation but sub in different numbers, that's one possibility. Okay, press the math key. Okay. Press math. All right, what do we think the first entry is going to do? Well, there's like an arrow and then frac. So what this does is it makes a fraction. Convert something to a fraction. Okay, so let's clear the calculator. And we'll clear it again. So we're going to press 0. Let me move this up a little bit. .56. Then press the math key and select option 1. So it's already on option 1. You can press enter or you can hit the 1. It doesn't matter. And it'll show you that. Convert to a fraction. Hit enter again. And look at that. It made a fraction. So .56 as a decimal becomes 14 out of 25 as a fraction. Okay, second 0. That accesses the catalog. The catalog contains all the operations and different functions that the calculator can do all in one long list. And it's alphabetical. Okay, so there's words alphabetically, but if you want symbols, symbols don't fit in the alphabet, and they put those at the end. So if you want to get to the end of the list, you actually can hit the up arrow and you'll get there first. And you can see a lot of symbols. Some of them have buttons, like parenthesis has a button to it, but all the symbols are in the catalog as well. Okay? So the first, it depends on how you consider first and last. If we're going to consider first the symbol that is the bottom one, because that's the first one you can see, I guess. It doesn't really matter. That's a question mark. What is the last symbol? Let's arrow up till we get to words. Symbols, symbols, symbols. Aha, now we got into the Z's. And that's an exclamation point. Okay, so it depends on how you consider first and last. The first that we can actually see is the question mark. We have to arrow up to see the exclamation point, but from a top-down list, it would seem like the exclamation should be first. Okay. Okay. The next part says press second 0 to access the calculator's catalog. There's an A right here in the top right corner of the screen, and it means the calculator is in alphabetical mode. So let's say you want something that is in the L's. The letter L is above the parenthesis, the close parenthesis. So if I go down here and hit the close parenthesis, it skips to the L's. And what is the fifth entry in the L's? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. LCM. What is the fifth entry? LCM. What does that stand for? Least. Oh, I might have to take that back. L is the first entry. Okay, least common multiple. Okay, press Y equals, new thing to know. Press Y equals, let's close, make that down. Y equals, let's clear. All right, Y equals. You should get this screen with Y and subscripts like this. And you're going to type in 2x minus 1. Okay, that's a linear equation. And if I go up here and press zoom, and then I don't have to, you can arrow down to the number 6, but you can also just press 6. And it makes the graph. So we see the graph. Okay, it's also useful for us to be able to see the table. So this is not in the scavenger hunt, but if you want to see the table of values that make the graph, you can go to second table, which is in your above graph, and you can see the table of values. But here's the cool thing. If you hit the mode key, mode, arrow down, to over here now on the color calculators, color edition, it spells out the words, but it might just say G-T, and you press enter till that lights up, and then you press graph. That cool thing happens where you see the graph and the table on the screen. You can see the graph and the table at the same time. Now you don't always want to do that. So to turn that back off, you go to mode again, you go down, and put it back on full. That's the default. And then when I hit graph, it's just the graph. Okay, and that's what it says next here. Okay, to go back to do number 22, we're going to get out of the graph screen, so we're going to press second and quit to get back to a normal calculation screen. And it says type 5 divided by 9, enter. Oh, it doesn't like that. Okay, just like I showed you before, you press 2 to go to the syntax error. It's telling you right here by blinking, it does not like 2 divide bys. Okay, so the cursor is blinking on the second divide. If you press delete and enter, then you get the correct answer. Okay. All right, and let's see, what answer did we get? Now, I want to point out that it looks like there's a 6 at the end. Okay, fives, and then a 6. Guess what, guys? It's really not a 6 at the end. The calculator does not just fill the screen. It gets to a certain point and then it rounds. So if we rounded to 4 decimal places, okay, we would say the 5th 5 would round this 5 up to a 6. So it's all about rounding. The real answer to this, if you see 5, and then a 6 at the end, the calculator has rounded the final digit. This is really 0.5 repeating. Okay, now if we want to convert that fraction, all right, we don't have to retype it. Remember, if we press math and then we're converting it to a fraction. That's the first option. And then hit enter again. It takes ANS, remember, is answer to the previous problem. So it's taking this value right here and it's going to convert it to a fraction. Enter again, 5/9. Okay, remember that a fraction and a division problem are the same thing. So you can convert decimals, division, fractions. You can convert all that. Alright, that is a calculator tutorial to get you started. I know this is a long video. I hope you didn't watch the whole thing and just concentrate on the parts of the video that you couldn't figure out on your own. And I will see you next class. Have a great day.